Reporters at the New York Times were told to not use language that humanized the Palestinians while Israel was committing their genocide. This is according to a leaked memo where editors was telling reporters at the New York Times to avoid using terms like genocide, ethnic cleansing, and occupied territories. This is an admission of guilt. The Zionists know exactly what they are guilty of. The New York Times is actively working with Israeli fascists in order to erase the identity of Palestinians. Reporters was told to not even use the term Palestine, except in very rare cases. Reporters at the New York Times was also told not to use terms like massacre, carnage, and slaughter. The reasoning from the editors is that they don't want to convey emotion instead of information to their readers. This is actual bullshit because we know they did not apply the same standards when they saw white people in Ukraine being murdered, or whenever an IDF terrorist is killed by a Palestinian, then they are all for emotion. In fact, it was the New York Times who spread the October 7th mass rape hoax story that we are still dealing with to this day. We still have Western officials that cite the New York Times mass rape hoax story, where even the parents of the October 7th victims said that the New York Times manipulated their family and deceived them in order to paint the story that their daughter was raped. All the reporters who demonized the Palestinians, which helped led to the genocide that we've seen unfold, should never be forgiven. The House, in overwhelming fashion, condemned the phrase "to the river, to the sea" as anti-Semitic. Man, you guys see AIPAC's really getting their money worth with this Congress that they completely bought. This is another attempt by the ruling class to conflate Judaism with anti-Semitism. One's criticism of a whole-ass state of Israel is not anti-Semitic, no matter how much you guys want it to be. The idea that we should allow our criminal ruling class to tone police us is absurd at face value. Our scummy ruling class is really trying to convince us that chants and slogans is somehow worse than them actually blowing up children. According to Zionists, from the river to the sea is genocidal, but United States Congress people saying that Israel literally should murder all the Palestinians is not.
I am with Israel. Do whatever the hell you have to do to defend yourself. Level the place.
And I'll say this to Prime Minister Netanyahu, finish them. Finish them. Hamas did this. You know Iran's behind it. Finish them.
I would encourage the other side to not so lightly throw around the idea of innocent Palestinian civilians, as is frequently said. I don't think we would so lightly throw around the term innocent Nazi civilians.
We better kill all the terrorists and kill everyone who supports
That's not a solution.
It's a great solution.
You haven't seen the pictures of all the babies being killed?
These are not innocent Palestinian civilians across the world.
They destroyed more infrastructure in Gaza than they did in Dresden. So that is like the
And there's more infrastructure that
They
needs to be
destroyed more of Gaza than what happened in Dresden.
Did you not hear me? There's more that needs to be destroyed. And there will be more that gets destroyed.
We shouldn't be spending a dime on humanitarian aid. It should be like Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
So I think we should kill them all, if that makes you feel better.
Rashid Tlaib was censured in Congress for saying from the river to the sea. That guy who said Palestinians, all of them should die, did not. This is why the working class and liberation movements must completely reject civility politics. Civility politics is the tool of the ruling class.
In the future, the state of Israel have to control on the entire area from the river to the sea.
The House passed a resolution condemning from the river to the sea as anti-Semitic. And you guys saw the video compilation. Big shout out to my boy Greg at Hotspot. who helped me put these videos together. Because I was like, hey, man, I sent him the video at the end, that congressman saying that, yeah, we should kill all of them. And I was like, hey, bro, Greg, if you have any other videos of the genocidal maniacs in Congress calling for the death of all Palestinians, bro, hit me up right now because we need to put this in this video. Because the legitimacy of a ruling class is to the point where they are left with tone policing. That's all they have left. Even though they take our taxpayer money and use that to arm the most tyrannical regimes, the regimes that commit the most human rights violations, who murder children, bomb hospitals, upend international law. But they want you to feel bad, and they tricking white suburbanites. They tricking these white boomers into thinking that pro-Palestinian protesters are the uncouth ones, as they call for the murder of children and saying that there are no innocent civilians, advocating for collective punishment, which is a war crime. So here's the compilation again. So let's not forget that these people, remember, Congress has a 17%, I think it's like 14% approval rating. It's wild because I watch way more corporate media segments than I ever did in my life now. Way more than I'll show you guys on the channel because I filter in through them. Like the amount of Congress people that speak in a way where we should respect their opinion. They so smug. They speak like they have this aura of authority. My friends, let me ask you guys this question. Can you imagine if you was a cashier and you had a 13% approval rating as a cashier? How about this? How about if you was a server at a restaurant? You're a server at a restaurant and only 13% of your customers approve of your work. That is the reality of all Congress people. Congress has a job approval rate of 13%. Any institution that has an approval rating of only 13% should be abolished, fam. You guys should be ashamed of yourself every day. Now, you guys see how programmed Americans are to treat Congress as kings, to treat them as anything else other than adversarial. Americans have way more heat than to customer service workers who simply get their order wrong than they do politicians who destabilize whole ass regions. They got more anger at the Walmart worker. They got more anger at the McDonald's worker for getting their order wrong than the American ruling class for destroying our cities. And they see this band and they think they're fucking smart. They think they're sassy. They think they have some fucking aura of influence in which they can tell us what the fuck to say. White people offended because we say death to America, death to any institution that has 13% approval rating of the proletariat. How about that? Now, watch this guy. This is the guy who introduced the bill in the House. I don't remember the name, what his name is. And they're going to talk about this House bill condemning free speech. Anyone calling for the liberation of Palestinian people as anti-Semitic. So watch the smug, condescending attitude that this person who's part of an institution that had 13% approval rating believes. Listen to this. Yes. He was a co-sponsor of the bill. Thank you for correcting me, CNN. Who cares?
For a co-sponsor of a resolution that passed that condemned the chant from the river to the sea as blatantly anti-Semitic. It passed overwhelmingly in the House of Representatives. Today, there are representatives from Columbia University, other administrators on Capitol Hill. They're being asked questions about what they view as anti-Semitic. I want you to listen to some of what's happening.
Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Columbia's code of conduct? Mr. Greenwald.
Yes, it does.
Ms. Shipman.
Yes, it does.
Dr. Shafiq.
Yes, it does.
And Professor Shizer.
Yes, it does.
Look at this shit. Do you guys see the authoritarian culture that Zionists imported into this country? What was the name of that Harvard professor? Claudine Gay? Remember how white America was cheering for the firing of Claudine Gay? We got that black terrorist supporter, Claudine Gay, even though she supports Israel. She condemned the Palestinian students, the pro-Palestinian students. But they see a black president of Harvard standing up for the free speech of their students, and they got rid of her ass and ruined her career. And now you guys see how all these academics are trained because it was pressured by the authoritarian capitalist thugs known as Zionists. Now before, and I cover this in great detail on our show, before all these academics were saying, I despise all the people calling for the liberation of the Palestinian people. I hate all the students that's calling for the end of apartheid state. But even though I find these students detestable Hamas supporters, technically they got the right to say that. The other position of Claudine Gay. The position of Claudine Gay that got her in trouble from the fascist anti-free speech Zionists and in general white America. The same right-wing grifters who pretended they were for free speech. They was all for firing Claudine Gay, for prosecuting Palestinian students. Anyone who's standing for Gaza. And I got to actually correct myself because it's not just Palestinian students. It's anyone who stands for Palestine. So you can be a Jewish student standing for Palestine and they want you expelled. There was a big culture war story. Let me see if I can find it because I wasn't planning on talking about it. There was a Palestinian valedictorian that wasn't allowed. Here's the stories. I vaguely saw this. I just want to use this as an example. Pro-Palestinian
USC's decision to ban
a speaks out after USC's cancels commencement speech. So the Zionist lobby is trying to go after and punish academia and the children. Thank God I'm at the point right now where RBN either succeeds or I'm fucked. Because I am unemployable, especially because of the hotspot videos, especially because of RBN and the fact that the establishment knows who I am. If I was ever to go back to Toyota and Honda to sell cars, you know how fast a Zionist scumbag would send my employer tweets saying, do you know that Nick believes that Israel don't have the right to exist? Which I don't, because they don't deserve to exist. That's a legitimate political position to take, especially if they're an apartheid baby-killing regime. But if I ever was to work at Honda, if I ever was to work at Toyota, sell cars again, the second I get hired, you get AIPAC, these pro-Israeli scum that will send them my tweets. Nick is an anti-Semite because he don't believe in the apartheid state of Israel. And they will put massive pressure. They're like, if you don't want us to tell everyone you're condoning pro-Hamas, anti-Semitic beliefs, we will boycott Toyota. We will boycott Honda. And I would never be employed again. And so that's why I'm at the point right now where either RBN succeeds or I'm fucked. And you guys see, they can't touch me though, because I'm an independent journalist. I don't report to no one. It makes these people furious. But there are professors, one I'm planning having on my show here soon. There are workers all over the country that are being retaliated against by this fascist culture that has been dominant in our society for decades. No one can deny that the fact that it's ramped up. But whenever people used to tell me, in fact, I went on Glenn Greenwald's show on System Update. I said this on Jamie Dore's show as well. I said, I'm glad that people on the right are standing for free speech, but what about BDS? I kept bringing up to people who are praising the right wing for quote unquote standing for free speech. I was like, how about Israel-Palestine, though? Big props to Glenn. I was on one of my first appearances on System Update. I was like, hey, man, the right wing, they pretend they support free speech, but they weak on Israel. Then Glenn like, yeah, I know. It's one of them things I always brought up. And people who watch RBN for a very long time can back that up and vindicate me on that. That's something I always brought up. You're not for free speech unless you're for the free speech of Palestinians. And our society is not. It's been a problem forever. You have people that was praising Ron DeSantis as a free speech warrior as he banned public officials for supporting BDS. He supported legislation that went after teachers. Well, I wouldn't say it went after teachers. It gave the freedom to the schools to go after teachers when they otherwise had protections. But anyway, there's a lot to say on this Zionist censorship. I'm going to show you guys what the author of the bill actually said. I actually got triggered before they really got to the heart of it. I'm going to go back to the part with the teachers because that's what set me off, because you got to see like the loyalty chants almost that elite academia had to pledge to Israel, especially after the public crucifixion of Claudine Gay. Once again, I don't like her. I made that 100% clear in my coverage, but you don't have to like or dislike her to understand the extreme problematic bullshit that was.
As anti-Semitic. I'm waiting to listen to some of what's happening.
Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Columbia's code of conduct? Mr. Greenwald.
Yes, it does.
Ms. Shipman.
Yes, it does.
Dr. Shafiq.
Yes, it does.
And Professor Shizer.
Yes, it does.
Your reaction?
Well, that's obviously, given that I helped author that resolution, I thought that calling for the destruction of Israel from the river to the sea and the elimination of the Jewish people is anti-Semitic. I think there's never been a question about that. And yesterday, Congress overwhelmingly affirmed it. And now you see today, the Columbia University, all these representatives from Columbia also said this is a violation of our code of conduct and unacceptable.
It's quite
no pushback. Are you gonna challenge this at all? This insane take. It always you see what he says here. Anyone already agrees it's anti-Semitic. No, they don't. Israel is a country where 2/3 of the people have secondary passports. They're a European calling actually Semitic people anti-Semitic for calling for their own liberation. And they do this as they call for the genocide of the Palestinian people. And as I mentioned before, there are a lot of anti-apartheid, anti-Zionist Jewish students who are being labeled as anti-Semitic because they are not pledging loyalty to a hostile foreign nation. So think about this for 1 second, fam. We have Christians like this guy. We have white Christians that are telling Jewish people that they are anti-Semitic because they don't support bombing Muslims and Christians in their holy land. Do you guys have any idea how absolute batshit crazy that is? It's batshit crazy, and it is repeated as fact every day on our corporate media, and people don't think we're the most propagandized country in the world? What the actual fuck? Do you guys realize we are in a society that's completely lost their damn mind? That's why I have a hard time doing a stream without emotion. I'm losing my shit covering the news, fam. Like, they're literally, like, the term of gaslighting is convincing people they're crazy. These people are gaslighting me. I'm literally being driven crazy, witnessing these people fucking hypocrisy and white Americans not being able to acknowledge this. This is the dominant culture in our society. In some ways, in some very elitist way, when he says that chanting from the river to the sea, it is all agreed upon, that it's anti-Semitic, in a very twisted way, he's right, because it's agreed upon among the dominant white American culture that people are brainwashed by. We're the outsiders. I'm the radical. I'm the person who don't fit in society. I'm a person that white Americans see my politics and they freak the fuck out. You guys understand that I'm the outlier in this country? That RBN, we're the outliers in this country? Everyone else is going along with this shit. White people going along with this shit. And they're coons and they're pawns going along with this shit. It doesn't make sense at face value. They are telling us, they are smearing us as genocidal, as a bomb children. And people wonder why Americans are so fucked in the head. What do you guys think happens to society when we are told these fucking psychotic lies over and over again? I can loop that around the problem that liberals try to solve. Why do you think America has so many mass shootings? Maybe it's connected to the fact that we had the most violent, vicious police state, the most violent, vicious military-industrial complex. We have a society that tell us that violence is never the answer, but their solution to every problem is violence. Their solution to crime isn't to uplift people and give them no reason to commit crime. The solution that white people made is to jack up the police budgets, to spend more on police than other countries do on the military. And then when black people tell them to defund the police, they lose their goddamn mind. Do you guys see how psychotic this culture is and why I'm not holding back no more? If you're Timmy, oh my God, stop criticizing white people. This is what the fucking culture you guys cultivated. And if you're one of the people watching this channel and you're a white ally, just know you're in the minority and you know you are. You guys know you're in the minority. That's why you're afraid to talk about your politics to your family members. That's why Thanksgiving is awkward, because you guys don't want to talk about shit, because you guys know you live in a fuck culture and you guys need someone to tell you that. Because white America, they spend all their time judging everyone else. They want to talk about black crime statistics. They want to judge every other culture in every single country as they produce this genocidal, psychotic society that we live in right now. That's telling people that you support genocide for saying to the river, to the sea, as that same people vote for these people. You got family members. They got family members who vote for these people.
I am with Israel. Do whatever the hell you have to do to defend yourself. Level the place.
And I'll say this to Prime Minister Netanyahu, finish them. Finish them. Hamas did this. You know Iran's behind it. Finish them.
I would encourage the other side to not so lightly throw around the idea of innocent Palestinian civilians, as is frequently said.
Hey, fam, quick question. For all the people like, oh my God, you're being so mean to our culture. Who voted for these people? Who votes for these people? It's the suburbanite white people that vote for these motherfuckers. Why you guys think they're the most reliable voting bloc? Those are the voting bloc they want to go to. They vote for these psychotic motherfuckers, and they expect me not to say anything. This is a observation we're not supposed to mention. The fact that you guys voted for these psychotic scumbags, and we're not supposed to say anything about it. Let's continue. This is the psychotic culture of our Congress as they tell us not to say to the river, to the sea.
Iran's behind it. Finish them.
I would encourage the other side to not so lightly throw around the idea of innocent Palestinian civilians, as is frequently said. I don't think we would so lightly throw around the term innocent Nazi civilians.
It'd be better to kill all the terrorists and kill every one of their supporters.
That's not a solution.
Oh, it's a great solution.
You haven't seen the pictures of all the babies being killed?
These are not innocent Palestinian civilians across the world.
They destroyed more infrastructure in Gaza than they did in Dresden. So that is like
And there's
bombing.
more infrastructure that
They've
needs to be
destroyed
destroyed.
more of
Why do you guys
Gaza.
think these people say this? Do you guys think they actually have ideologies? They say this because they know this is going to appeal to Americans. They say this because they are AIPAC whores. That's okay with the murdering of children, but we're the terrorist sympathizers. The United States and Israel, they are the terrorists, and their voters and their supporters are terrorist sympathizers. They're the real terrorist sympathizer if you vote for anyone in Congress. if he support
What
NATO.
happened in Dresden?
There's more that needs to be destroyed, and there will be more that gets destroyed.
He shouldn't be spending a dime on humanitarian aid. It should be like Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
So I think we should kill them all, if that makes you feel better.
So we have these psychotic assholes in our society. And you want to know what the white Americans want to do? They want to send more money to the police. You know, the people that MAGA communist thing have great revolutionary potential. White America, they saw the phrase defund the police and they lost their goddamn mind. They're like, no, we want to fund the police state more. Stop the revolution. We want to stop the revolution. Why the fuck would anyone advocate funding the police more in this country? Until they're a fucking revolution. We are governed by these psychotic assholes, but white America want to fund the police more to protect them.